What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over the FedEx Cup St. Jude Championship. I guess this is the beginning of the playoffs um, from a DFS perspective, and we're going to go over what I think good plays are, but more important, we're going to do some lineup building and see if we can't, make use of the Saber Sim tools and go through different possibilities with respect to trying to take down these big contests. So this is a no-cut event, I presume. Just part of the playoffs. Everybody's going to get their 4 rounds. And that usually usually leads to a very predictable lineup construction. That being stars and scrubs, meaning the majority of the optimal lineups at least pre-flop, are going to look like combinations of the top priced guys with the lowest priced guys. And the reason for that is you don't have to worry about those cheapos making the cut or not. What's up, Joanne? Used to be that, not used to be, but on a normal cut sweat, to be able to get up to, say, Scotty Scheffler, you got to make sure that these 5Ks and 6Ks make the cut. Otherwise, you're going to be shut out of those last 2 rounds. But with everybody having the same 4 rounds and all these 6K guys being able to play all 4 rounds, it makes getting up to the Schefflers and the Xanders or whatever just so much easier. That's usually the way the lineups are built. Now, for those that have been playing DFS for some time, you're aware that if everybody's doing one thing, it's sometimes possible to be contrarian and do the other thing. But one thing that I've tried so often in golf in situations like this to fade this stars and scrubs builds and get these balanced lineups kind of by force. And while it looks kind of cool, they just never seem to win. And this is kind of a weird way of promoting the use of some of these tools like SaberSim. Because one of the things that using SaberSim and running contest sims and all that stuff allows the community or allows its users to do is, not only build good lineups, but try to teach us about our biases and try to teach us of how strong lineups are that we thought were strong, or how strong lineups are or correlations are that we thought were correlated. We'll talk more about that when we get into NFL. I mean, one thing that, for example, that using SaberSim and using these new tools have showed us is that this idea of needing a run back in football is probably not as important as it was once thought. Okay. So these types of things are very learnable by running all these lineups. So the more times I run these no cut event builds, it's not surprising why. I mean, so many of them are showing up to be optimal. It's just these big scores that you get out of Scotty and Xander, for example, are just very, very difficult to live without. Okay, so with that said, here's another interesting kind of a behind the scenes observation. If you look at TrueDFS, but not even TrueDFS at all, the sites, honestly, is usually when you have you have a slate and you rate them by either point per dollar or whatever, my sheet's value score. You usually have kind of these top guys, the 10K guys being at the top of the list. But when you have these no cut events, you have mostly the cheapos showing up as the best values. And the reason for that are the reasons I just mentioned before, is that part of the risk of playing these 6K, 7K guys is that you're only going to get the 2 rounds. And with that possibility off the table, these just high point per dollar plays just are going to rate as the best plays. And that doesn't mean that you should only play them, right? Because remember, this is being judged on value, not on just raw points. It's still very important the most important thing to do is to get the most amount of points. So just because these guys are rated all the way down here doesn't mean you shouldn't play them. As a matter of fact, I mean, you probably have to play them, as we mentioned before. But just it might confuse people when you're looking at these ranking systems, things like that. Now, with that said, I mean, it is worth noting that Kurt Kitayama, of these guys, does, I would say, stand out. But he rates to be the best of all these by a little bit. Okay. But the other thing that you'll notice is that there isn't too much of a difference between like a lot of these guys. So what that means to me is that you can be very, very, diverse with these 7K guys. I mean, you shouldn't really take huge stands on any of them. And all this is a way to say what I've said when we first did the introduction. I mean, Scotty plus these guys are probably the optimal ways lineups to present. We'll see though. What else? What else can we talk about before running the Sims here? I mean, you'll see that Scotty, just of these 10K guys, even just projects to be so much higher. It's going to be very difficult to fade him. And I guess more to the point, this 37% ownership projection I have right now is probably a little low. We'll do one more run a little bit later tonight, but aside from that, I think that if you're going to play, I think you could play lineups like with Scotty on top and then some combination of this stuff, like even if you rate the top 5 guys, that's what, 34.8. No, let's rate the top 5 guys. So yeah, that's 34.8. And then you could add the 13,000, still have 3,000 left on the table, so you can make your lineups extraordinarily easily. Okay. And before I get into do the builds, let's look at draft at FanDuel for just a minute. I imagine it's pretty much the same. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, FanDuel's even more egregious. I mean, FanDuel, Scotty actually has a very good, what's he gonna say? A really good point per dollar score also. So that's why he's projected over there to be about 55% owned. And that could be higher as well. So Scotty Scheffler is going to be the main play this week, and it's just a question of how much you get to him, depending on what type of settings you use. All right, so let's get into it. And this is what I always do. I show exactly what my process is for building these lineups. Now, again, these may or may not actually end up being my lineups at the end of the day because I'm going to change my projections at some point between now and lock as well. But just to show you again the process, right from the beginning to the end. First thing that we want to do is I want to upload what I'm playing from DraftKings, and you see I'm playing pretty big. I'm playing a couple of big buy-ins. I'm playing some small buy-ins of pretty much everything. And let's just say that this wasn't in here already. You would click upload lineups from DraftKings, then you would put it's already in there, right? Yeah. So you download them and then upload them here. And then wherever that saves on your computer. Okay. So then the reason why this is important is when we run the contest sims, it's going to have all this stuff preloaded. So you don't have to tell it what you're playing. Okay, so let's start a build. And again, the first decision that you have to make are what projections you're going to use, right? So if you do have SaberSim projections, you have a choice of using those. If you're a TrueDFS subscriber, you have access to my projections most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. And you'll have access to Goldie's stuff most of the time as well. And you also have the ability to average them. So it's a very interesting decision of which projection set you use. I actually, in golf, don't mind averaging. When it comes to the concept of averaging projection sources, The less correlated the lineups are, the players are, the more likely I'll be willing to average in some way. Like baseball, I'll almost never average projections. Even if I like my own, I like others. Some others I'll look at. But baseball is just so correlative that I don't want to use mix and match. Same with like hockey, maybe some football as well. But golf, I mean, one player's results doesn't really have a positive impact on another. So I don't mind, just in the name of getting accurate, averaging. I personally, I mean, like I have been keeping track. I mean, I keep track of a lot of different sites, and the ones that I'm putting out there, I mean, they're rating like usually top 3 for the week. Not always number 1, but part of me just wants me to just say, screw it all, and just use my own for everything and not even consider what anybody else is putting out there. But for golf, but not quite there yet. So, but let's do it for today. For today, all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my projections, my ownership projections, and we'll use those as the baseline here. So I'm actually going to do it from a custom perspective. I keep all my projections somewhere else, so I'll upload them here. So if you have customs, you'll put them in the same way I'm doing them. Now, one thing again that you can do, or whether or not do, is click this button here where it says automatically create custom fields from ownerships if you put your own stuff up there. And what that's going to do, it's just going to give you that option of replacing the contest fields that SaberSim provides with some of your own. I guess it couldn't hurt to do it, right? I mean, it doesn't mean I have to use them. But let's see, let's put it sheets. And one thing you'll notice, which is actually sort of interesting, is that my projections are in general much lower than SaberSim's. Very interesting. And it's like lower across the board. So maybe SaberSim is just overestimating how many points everybody's going to score, I guess. So what it did is it created this field of lineups that's called sheets. So if I wanted to, I can go into the contest tab here, and where it gives me the option to select a contest field, I could change that to sheets. Now, again, I'm doing 20,000 lineups, so things are going a little bit slower than they could otherwise, but we'll wait on it. And we'll see what's up. Waiting. Oh, I guess while that's waiting, no, it's actually I have to wait for it before I put my lineups together. So let's just hang on a second. Let's field lineups again. Contests. Okay. So like you'll see over here, I could put in, instead of flagship MME for the sand trap, I could put in my own, like field lineup sheets, like if I wanted to. So let's do it for this purposes of this exercise. This is actually sort of interesting. Looking at the projections here, yeah, I'm just like I'm just lower by like a point, except for one guy, except for Hoagie. So interesting. Okay, so let's build, and just for the hell of it, we'll build all 20. We don't need 20,000 lineups. I mean, it's a 70-person field. Let's build 10,000 and build these, and let's just see what we got. And what SaberSim is going to do right now is it's going to do several things. Number one, it's going to build 5,000 lineups. For upside. Let's just say that it's aimed for upside. I'm not going to get too into it. And then what it's going to do, it's going to simulate those 5,000 lineups against the contest fields that we saw in those. We didn't go through the whole field, but that we saw referred to in the contest tabs. So it's basically going to take its lineups or all these lineups and say, okay, these are the tournaments where those lineups fit the best. So that's what it's going to do. And then the next thing it's going to do at the end is it's going to diversify your portfolio. So it's a little bit different than most. It's going to not just jam the top 5, the top, however many lineups have 304 ROI lineups in. It's going to engage in portfolio management and kind of smooth out your exposures a little bit. That's the best way I could describe it right now. And what you'll end up getting is a little bit more of a chalky build than maybe you used to when you used to just kind of play using SaberSim. But just to kind of show you what that would look like, you're looking at 54% Scheffler, then 24% Rye, 22% Griffin, etc. So I want you to remember this sort of. First, I want to save all these. And I want to compare what this method gave us, that being putting us in, portfolio management, portfolio plus, portfolio diversification, whatever you want to call it mode, as opposed to just doing the old thing where you just take the top ROI lineups, just make sure you have, min uniques of say 2 or 3. Let's put min uniques 2 for the hell of it. And let's just see how that impacts the exposures here. So if we did it that way, now it's a little different, I guess. So now we're getting 43% Scheffler, and then now the exposures below him is a little bit different. Okay, as you can see. So this method of just playing the top ROI lineups and just going using min uniques to get diversity is definitely more aggressive. And fortunately or unfortunately, this is the new battleground in sim products and in portfolio managers and in optimizers, is who's going to do the best job of conquering the portfolio management decision. SaberSim started, other companies are doing it, and I think that they're all not doing it very well right now. That's just, again, that's not me as a DFS player. It's me talking as a 95% of a portfolio manager with my 5% knowledge of DFS. I don't know exactly why it's not looking the way it should, but listen, it's not that it's bad. I mean, it is bad. It's just not. It's going to be better, and it's probably better, honestly, than just going min uniques too. If you are going to manage portfolios in a conservative way, I don't know. I'm just still not convinced that that's the way I want to approach it. I still think I want to be more aggressive, especially in these high variance sports. So I don't know. So, I mean, people ask me this a lot now over the last month. Are you going to be using the new portfolio diversification tools? And the answer is sometimes, and I've just almost detest it to some degree. But I still am pretty partial to the more aggressive methodologies. So that's sort of what I'm getting, at least right now, is Scheffler and then like a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. But it's very difficult to not get Scotty Scheffler in your lineups here this week. Okay. Just for fun, we'll do FanDuel. Let's see. Again, we have our lineups in here. We are playing 1 in the Monster and 60 in the, whatever you call it, the Eagle. Oh no, I don't want to build here. I want to put my lineups, my projections in first. Okay, let's Again, we don't have to do 5,000, 10, 20,000. We'll do 10,000 though. See what we end up with. And I'll tell you what, for FanDuel, I'll do the portfolio diversification mode. By the way, what I'm doing here, this is my golf ball game. It's good for stress release. I think stress release is what it is. Just something to play with. Okay, let's see what we come up with here. Only simming against 2 contests, so it shouldn't take all too long. Okay, let's see what we got. I imagine it's going to be almost 100% Scheffler. 68%. I mean, it is what it is, and especially with FanDuel. I will say that Chris Gotterup is getting a good amount of love here on FanDuel. So if you're going to hand build, maybe Gotterup would be something to glean from this. And then we'll just put these in here. Well, that's baseball for tonight. Sorry, we'll do golf for tomorrow. And that's going to be it. So that's literally the whole process for golf. It's just really a question of really two things to decide, really, for me. What projections do I want to use? What contest fields I want to use? And then which settings I want to use. I mean, I'm not using the portfolio diversification settings today. Maybe I'll do it for Showdown tomorrow. I'm not sure. But that's pretty much it. Thanks, Joanne, AJ, others for showing up. And I'll be doing baseball a little bit later. And that's it.